Do you think that conservative talking points of Republicans of the party that freed the slaves actually helped secure black votes at all? No, I don't think so. I don't think anybody's fooled by that. Why not both Destiny? I genuinely don't understand. The reason why we import goods and services from other countries is because they're cheaper. That's why we do it, obviously, right? You save money. If you want to advocate for made in America and you want to start tariffing or making those goods and services more expensive to import, then what happens is for whatever particular thing you want to buy, you're going to be paying more money for it. So a shirt that would have cost you $10 because now it's made in America might cost you $12, but you're supporting made in American things. So that's like, you can support made in America if you want. You have the right to do that, obviously. And you might even think it's a good policy for a variety of reasons, but it's going to mean that things are going to be more expensive. There's a trade-off there, you know? Is that inflation? Bro just said things costing more is inflation. What do you think inflation is? M1, M2 money, not price point. Oh, my bad. I don't know. I was talking to a crypto libertarian. True. It's not like the CPI or anything like measures, you know, inflation, or that we get our year-over-year inflation numbers or anything based on, you know, like average cost of goods in a basket or whatever, right? I think it's literally just the money supply, and then they copy paste that into an Excel sheet, and then it spits out inflation numbers. My bad. What about tariffs on things we're ramping up production of domestically, like chips or semiconductors for domestic consumption? The problem with tariffs is, if you're going to use a tariff, you have to understand what a tariff is for and what the purpose of what you're doing with it is, right? If you're using a tariff for something, like we'll say semiconductors, the reason why you're doing it is because you feel like manufacturing semiconductors at home is essential to national security. That's it. Not because you're doing it for good economic policy. Chances are, if you manufacture them at home, it's going to cost more. It's going to be more expensive, and that has a whole bunch of other knock-on effects for when you make things more expensive. But that's it. Don't fool yourself into thinking that tariffs are good econ policy. They're used for other purposes. And if somebody tells you they're doing it for good econ policy, they're lying to you. The conflict in Ukraine may be clear-cut, but I don't think you have a solution for it, or at least I didn't hear it. And how to prevent a similar thing from happening in the future again? Answers for it would stem from history. Clearly, full destruction of Putin cabinet, like it might happen with Hamas, is unrealistic. And even if it happened somehow, who's to say a worse government would rise? I have a solution for those things, and I learned it from my Israeli studies, okay? What needs to happen is, there's two things that need to happen, okay? One is, the United States needs to not have a schizophrenic foreign policy. You need to have an idea about what direction your country needs to head into, and you need to be consistent and clear to the world about that, right? So this is our future with Iran and Russia, okay? We're going to be clear. This is what we expect. And then we're going to be consistent. Even if the administrations change, we're going to roughly remain on the same path. That's number one, all right? Number two is there needs to be immediate and heavy corrective action when somebody contradicts U.S. will. If you fuck up, you will get fucked up. Full stop. No negotiations, no red lines that we don't respect, no bullshit. It needs to be incredibly aggressive, and it needs to be swift, and it needs to be precise, and it needs to be like clearly tied to the violation of a particular thing, and that should be it. And I feel like if America had that type of international presence, I think that it would instill more world order, I think. Even though it seems hawkish, I think it would lead to a more peaceful place. I read about seeing Russian influence where there isn't any. Some of your comments in the post on the subreddit are getting Lex. We're getting a little unhinged. Yeah, I might be overshooting a bit right now. Like, I think a lot of the accounts that I thought on Twitter that were bots, they just act like bots. I think they're probably just like gripers because they do a lot of gay ups and shit on Twitter and create a ton of accounts and post. Or it might be a combination of like people posting on accounts and using them as bots. I think I should focus less on the bot part, though, and more on the disinformation part, because whether or not they're bots isn't actually the point. The point is whether or not people are engaging with social media in bad faith with the effect of just fostering dissent. That's really the more important part. It doesn't really matter if they're bots or not, because it could be people. It'd really be the exact same thing. I do wonder. I'm so curious on a lot of this stuff. I thought about making more of these kind of like sarcastic jokes. I don't know if the sarcasm is a bit harder to parse for a bot, or if people just like read a little bit and then they want to shit post my tweet immediately. But buying your girlfriend her favorite bouquet of flowers and timing the delivery so they arrive right when she goes out to recess. Flower. Hashtag just boyfriend things, right? I got a lot of responses to this tweet, and it's hard to tell when I look at the responses of, did you not read my tweet completely? Did you not care in your shit posting to be a pedophile? Are you a bot and you just can't parse the irony? Or, I don't know. It's hard, right? So like this guy, is this advice on how to find a woman that gets railed by every man in the city? Bro, are you okay? Maybe they didn't understand the tweet. There are several of these. Oh, we've got this one where everybody has like this video that they jerk off to on their computer all the time, and then other pictures of me. I see you haven't learned from your past mistakes. I could click through and start going through all their profiles, but I don't want to schizo myself out. Oh, are they ESL? Hold on, there's a lot. Was this tried last time? Imagine being a man that goes by the name Destiny and still pretends to be straight. But again, it could also just be like random people, right? I didn't know you had a heart. Girlfriend laughing, and then my wonderful beach pictures. Random cum jokes. Jesus. Our girlfriend. Are you okay, dude? This is a good one. He didn't get any engagement here. I swear lately you've been like a Fisher Price recording filled with bad ideas. You mean when she goes out for some BBC? Jesus Christ. You seem to have a thing. Oh, this guy, I think, understood. That's good. Okay, hold on. I have to look at the... I think a lot of these got moved into spam. Did they? Wait, how many comments are on this fucking tweet? Fuck, there were... I thought there were a few good ones that were like... Try to post like 5 bot baits and check for patterns. I don't even know if you could identify any at this point. Or the problem is that... Wait, hold on. I'll explain the problem in a second. Wait, fuck. I wonder if a couple of these got deleted. If they got deleted, it might be because they were humans and they realized that they responded too quickly. Or not a native speaker. Could recess be understood as a break from work? Maybe, I guess. Just buy what Ryan Macbeth uses. Bro, $12,000 a month? Fuck that. We had this thing that we like fixated on so much. I don't even know if this was a real thing or if it was just a science fiction thing called the Turing test. And we really we blew the fuck past that immediately. Or maybe, actually, I don't actually know if bots blew past the Turing test. I don't know if bots blew past the Turing test or if human engagement on social media just dramatically fell below the Turing test. I'm not sure. Because I guess when I look at stuff posted on social media, I'm not really thinking like, man, is this a really sophisticated bot? I'm usually just thinking like, man, is this a really fucking retarded person? And more often than not, it's just a fucking retarded person. I'm not actually sure. I don't know what's happened more. I don't know. Have you heard the story of Trump and the Taliban leader meeting? Oh, I opened this. I don't believe this story. I don't believe this story for a microsecond. This is a congressman. Has anybody else ever confirmed or given any part of this story ever?
This is hilarious.
When we were negotiating with the Taliban, while President Trump was still the president, President Trump wanted to get out of Afghanistan, but he wanted a conditions-based withdrawal, meaning that you do what we tell you to do, and then we will start pulling troops back slowly as long as you abide by our rules. And he said, if you harm a hair on a single American, I'm going to kill you. And the translator goes, and Trump goes, tell him what I said. Reached in his pocket, pulled out a satellite photo of the leader of the Taliban's home and handed it to him.
Shut up.
Got up and walked out the room.
Like, that is elite, bro. That is why you need that guy in office and not Sleepy Creepy Joe.
I don't believe this. I don't even know if he was involved in those negotiations at all. Like, I would be surprised if Donald Trump like ever talked to an actual Taliban leader. Like it's not even him doing the negotiations directly, right? It's people working underneath him. Is there like a video or anything of Taliban leader sits with Trump? Maybe he's there for like a signing of something. I don't know.
In what is the first known direct conversation between a U.S. president and the Taliban, President Donald Trump said Tuesday he spoke with a leader of the militant group.
I spoke to the leader of the Taliban today. We had a good conversation. We've agreed there's no violence. We don't want violence. We'll see what happens. They're dealing with Afghanistan, but we'll see what happens. Okay?
When asked later in the day if it was his first time speaking with a Taliban leader, President Trump said, "I don't want to say that." He added that he has a very good relationship with the mullah and that both parties have a very common interest to end the long-standing conflict in Afghanistan. On Saturday, U.S. and Taliban negotiators signed an agreement that could see the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan in the coming months if the Taliban meets certain commitments. If everything goes according to plan, the deal could bring an end to the nearly 2-decade-long war and fulfill the president's campaign promise to pull the U.S. out of endless wars.
Yeah, I don't think this ever happened.
Welcome back to a very special Independence Day.
Let's see if he says it here. Because in that one, he just said he spoke to them over the phone. Trump claimed he did this multiple times so that after there were no more American deaths, but that isn't true for any period before the pullout. What would cause more damage to the U.S. presidential re-election of an authoritarian narcissist that, together with his henchmen, that would undermine every democratic institution or legitimizing political assassinations and political violence? I have no idea.
Weekend edition of the U.S. Report. And now it's time for a very star-spangled edition of your favorite and mine, Only in America.
Hold on. I don't know why you guys keep saying this. Hold on. I can't wait to see Destiny when Trump wins the election. If Trump wins the election, I'm probably going to be like, oof, that really sucks. It's pretty shady that he won. Yeah, wow. I'll talk about this for the next 4 years. When Biden won the election, you guys tried to overthrow the government because you were so ass-pained, because your assholes had been so expanded by Daddy Trump and the conservatives hyping you up that there was no possible way you were going to have a 50-state landslide. Like, you can't really use that argument anymore. You understand that, right? After January 6th, you kind of have completely lost the ability to say, I've been after the election, you're going to be deranged. You fucking retards still don't believe the results of the last election, right? You understand that, right? You still don't think the last election was legitimate.
Well, the 4th of July is when we celebrate American independence, and by extension, it's also when we celebrate American strength and the ability for America to stand up for what is right. I know it's pretty crazy when you think about what's been going on in the U.S. and around the world for the past 3.5 years, but it wasn't always thus. This week, U.S. Congressman Wesley Hunt went on the Sage Steele show and told a little story about Trump and the Taliban, reminding us of what we had just a few short years ago.
I'll give you my favorite President Trump story. This is my #1 favorite of all time.
Oh, it's the same. These guys again.
When we were negotiating with the Taliban, while President Trump was still the president, President Trump wanted to get out of Afghanistan, but he wanted a conditions-based withdrawal, meaning that you do what we tell you to do, and then we'll start pulling troops back slowly as long as you abide by our rules. It's President.
What's your opinion, Destiny? Are we better off with someone else than Biden? Go just by your gut. I know it's impossible to tell. I hope I give it like a slight edge now to somebody better, but I mean, like I said, it could be way better or it could be way worse. I'm not sure.
President Trump and Mike Pompeo, and they were talking to Taliban leadership in the room, and they had one translator in the room. President Afghanistan, but he wanted a conditions-based withdrawal, meaning that you do what we tell you to do, and then we'll start pulling troops back slowly as long as you abide by our rules. It's President Trump and Mike Pompeo, and they were talking to Taliban leadership in the room, and they had one translator in the room. President Trump looked at the Taliban leader and said this: "I want to leave Afghanistan, but it's going to be a conditions-based withdrawal." And translator translated. And he said, "If you harm a hair on a single American, I'm going to kill you." And the translator goes, and Trump goes, "Tell him,
Yes.
tell him what I said." Reached in his pocket, pulled out a satellite photo of the leader of the Taliban's home and handed it to him.
Shut up.
Got up and walked out the room.
Sure did.
Do you know for 18 months not a single American was killed in Afghanistan?
Sure did.
That's the definition of strength. That's what I'm talking about.
And that, folks,
Is that actually true? Was there a full year without an American death? So you believe that Joe Biden legitimately got 81 million votes, and then when the 2024 Democratic candidate gets under 70 million votes, then will you admit it was probably mass mail-in voter fraud? No, I will never say that, because there was never any fraud discovered ever, despite the fact that it was tried in 60-plus court cases, despite the fact that Trump put together a voter commission to find voter fraud, and despite the fact that there was never any credible evidence of any outcome-determinative voter fraud occurring in any state, in any district, in any county, for the entirety of the years of investigations that followed. Okay, boom, boom. Destiny, just wondering, where does the gate come from in all these conspiracies, and what is the meaning behind it, like Pizzagate? For Pizzagate, conservatives believed that Hillary Clinton and Podesta and other Democratic leaders were meeting in the basement of a pizza parlor that didn't have a basement, and were coming together to perform satanic blood rituals, to rape children and extract their blood to extend their youth. I'm not joking. That was the belief, and I believe people like Marjorie Taylor Greene legitimately were posting on Facebook about this because they legitimately believed it to be true. Why is Gate in the name? I don't know. It started with Watergate. I don't know. Right? Didn't it? People just call things Gate. In a non-Trump world, what is your opinion on Nikki Haley? Wouldn't she have won a landslide against Biden? I have no idea. I don't know enough about Nikki Haley or her policies or her beliefs. Generally, I'm more left-leaning when it comes to things like econ policy and whatnot. So I truly don't know. I would have to see her as a candidate. Can you blame them when they go into the woods at Bohemian Grove with black robes and burn effigies to a huge owl? I don't know if this is true or not. I haven't dug into this, but I read that didn't Alex Jones originally get popular because he went with some guy, and Alex Jones was like creeping around on the side, like trying to capture pictures of everything because he said that they wouldn't let him in because it was like some super secret thing. But the other journalist that he went with just like walked up and knocked, and they let him come in and like chill and take pictures and hang out and talk to people and everything. Like, I don't know anything. I just feel like it's cringe. I don't know. I don't trust anything now unless I go and review it myself. Like especially watching some of Tim Pool's stuff and seeing that Tim Pool lied about and fabricated the stuff that he filmed in Sweden, that was a complete and utter lie. I don't trust any of these guys. And you shouldn't either, actually, too. Or you should, actually, right? Remember this, if there's anything you take from here as a conservative, okay? I'm making my money, a lot of it, by laughing at how stupid you are. But the people on your side of the media also make their money off of your stupidity. They just talk about you being stupid behind the scenes, right? That's what we saw in the Dominion case with Fox News. All of the leaks showed them that they knew you guys were stupid. They knew that everything that Sidney Powell was saying was bullshit. Even the host knew. But they put her on anyway because they knew that you fucking retards lapped it up. And they didn't want you all going to Newsmax and OAN. That's the only reason why Fox News gave so much airtime to all of the Trump conspiracies, because they knew you retards lapped that shit up. So you are upset at me because I'm laughing at you publicly and making money off of it. You should be even more upset at your own media companies that supposedly represent the conservative side of the issues, because they're laughing at you behind the scenes because they know it's all bullshit. But I will say, if you have any strong conservative content creators, okay, any conservative content creators that have over 100,000 subs on YouTube, if they want to argue, feel free to have them shoot me a DM, and I'll take them on, okay? January 6th was an insurrection. Donald Trump has historically evaded more accountability than probably any president in U.S. history in terms of dodging court cases and other people that are working to help him not be held accountable to anything. We added a fourth pillar that I wanted to fight on. Oh, I looked this up. I don't think this one is true. 3 pillars. Oh, and the Dominion case, that Fox News, Tucker Carlson, and everybody was also lying to you about all the Sidney Powell stuff and everything else. Yeah. Let's say what you say is true. What if he gets elected then? What will you do in a country that has fallen to a dictator? Probably continue to do what I do now. If it gets too crazy, I just fucking leave. I mean, what do you do? Majority FM. What is this?
We need you to be Mamala of the country.
Jesus. Really hitting the kink crowd. Let's see, Dumb Jenk tweets. Statement by Hillary. Okay. The fuck is this? Hold on. Oh. Oh my God. Remember, now we pivot to not mentioning Kamala Sterling, left-wing voting record, and her cool Marxist dad, and instead loudly say that she's a cop who will lock up all the criminals. Why is Wick swaying out over is Wick one of those people that genuinely believes it's like anti-democratic for Biden to step down? Wasn't he for Biden stepping down too? Was he? I don't think he was he? I was thinking about this last night. Oh, that's such a good talking point. I don't even know if I can squeeze all these. There are so many good talking points that I don't remember all the time. I was thinking about last night. It's funny how Trump won in a legitimate election under the Obama admin in 2016, whereas he lost in an illegitimate election under his own admin in 2020. True. It's not even worth bringing up, though. Consider just say the deep state. It doesn't matter who's president. The deep state's always controlling everything. Do you think the Democrats should move towards the center to win? No, fuck no. You energize your voter base as much as possible and appeal to anybody that would be appealable to with your appeal to anybody that you would be appealing to in your base, or that would find your policies appealing. You shouldn't be trying to, if somebody is like undecided between like Trump and Hillary or between Trump and Kamala, I guess now on some shit, trying to like appeal, these people are lost to the wind. It's not worth it. Bro, I'm actually going insane now. I've always known that there are a lot of bots and short form content, but I usually just ignored the really bad opinions. You actually made me paranoid though. True. Why are big lefty content creators not going hard on conservatives? They seem radio silent on everything. The issue is that people are mistaken. People look at a binary here, and they what they look at is they'll see like Democrats, they'll see Republicans, and then as you go further and further and further along this axis down here, they'll see like communists and socialists or whatever, right? And then like for this, for Republicans, you've got like the alt-right, Nazis, fascists, whatever, right? I think the issue is that it's this binary here, or this this line segment, like you can only plot people on it when they believe in like the concept of liberalism. As soon as you become illiberal, you've moved completely off of this, and you're not mappable onto this anymore. And no, I don't mean like, oh yeah, that's when we use this thing. No, you're something that is fundamentally different. Even if you do agree with some policies on the left and right for a Democrat or Republican, if you're a communist or a fascist, like it doesn't matter. You're something markedly different. So when you look at people like I would broadly say that you've got kind of this second axis, this illiberal axis. I've called it anti-establishment, but I really think it's just anti-liberalism. And when you're on this axis, right? So on the far left, you've got, or on the left side, you've basically got like progressives, and then further left, you've got like communists, socialists. And then on the same axis, you've got like MAGA-tards, and then barely to the right of them, you've got like fascists or whatever. These people are in another world where they're looking to create like authoritarian establishments. They're looking to create things that are where they can enforce their will with very little democratic influence, with the ability to oppress and suppress opponents, political opponents, to have like strong men leading the way. Like this is kind of what you're looking for here. These people exist in a far different world than these people. So when you say, like, well, why is it that people on the far left aren't attacking the Republicans? Well, for a lot of it, they don't even necessarily disagree with them, right? Far left people, illiberal people, are going to line up with other illiberal people when it comes to things like protectionism, isolationism, and foreign policy, right? They're all kind of like in the same basket. Like very far right, like fascists and communists will agree, yeah, we do need to protect our own population. Yeah, fuck NATO and fuck Ukraine and fuck, why are we wasting money on this? We spend money on our own people. Like they're going to be in perfect alignment with a lot of these talking points. Same thing when it comes to attacking like corporations and capitalism. Like a lot of people on the, like the MAGA people and the far lefties or whatever are, shit on major corporations, and they shit on large, basically how they function in the United States. They say that they're all like enemies of the people. Same thing with their views of like media and everything too. They're going to be like in total alignment on all of their illiberal beliefs. So you're never going to see people on the far left attacking like the MAGA people that much. You might a little bit, but they're going to be attacking all liberals. And a lot of their focus tends to just be unfortunately, on the center left. Destiny, call them out. I kind of do, but I mean, like, it's not like none of them having their shows. They don't like adversarial conversations. But then again, the right-leaning people don't either anymore, so. But I think they've kind of realized that the reason why they avoid debate or adversarial conversations is because their stuff is like so blatantly, obviously horrible that it's hard to have an adversarial conversation and not look like a fucking clown. Do you support Kamala? I will support anybody that basically anybody that the DNC puts up against Trump. I'll support basically anybody. So right now it's Kamala. I support Kamala 100%. Leftists, not progressives, though. No. I say progressive. I don't know where progressivism is right now in the United States. It feels like progressivism snapped, and like 80% of it broke off to being like communist and socialist, and then there's like some percentage of it that's just like kind of far left Democrats. It's like AOC and them call themselves progressives, but they're very clearly much different than a lot of the progressives on college campuses, right? All the college campus kids have denounced Bernie Sanders and AOC. So it feels weird to say that Bernie and AOC are still like big progressives now, when it feels like, at least online, the majority of the progressive movement hates these two people. I don't know if that's true of all people that identify as progressive. I don't know if there is a strict definition of progressive, but yeah.
Sick of this? Well, think about this. He's a world leader in temper tantrums.
Wait. If in an election more than half the country voted to have it more authoritarian, would it be illegitimate from a philosophy view in your opinion, since the majority seems to want it? No, I think people should vote for the government they want. If people want an authoritarian dictator, then they vote for it, then I think they should have it probably, right? A government is only as good as its people, always, right? Some governments are more resistant to the will of their people than other governments, but ultimately, at the end of the day, government kind of sort of gets its power from the people that are part of the nation that it rules over. So, I don't think I would have as much interest in, I just don't have as much of an interest in participating in it or caring about it.
Sick of this? Well, think about this. He's a world leader in temper tantrums. She never loses her cool. She prosecuted sex predators. He is one.
Grab him by the...
She shut down for-profit colleges that swindled Americans. He was a for-profit college.
What the fuck? Is Destiny that adverse to militant resistance to authoritarianism? It kind of reminds me of the legend of the end of the book I Am Legend, where it's like there's a book called I Am Legend, and this guy basically is in some post-apocalyptic world where it seems like there are humans that exist now that can only operate at night, and they've got to sleep during the day. They're kind of like akin to vampires, and he spends a lot of time trying to like engineer a cure for these people. Right? He works in a lab a day. He's got a library, and he's trying to like figure out a way to cure these people, to bring them over back to humanity, basically. And I think at some point, a woman finds him, and they're working together on a cure, but she's actually, it comes out, well, it doesn't come out. She was actually working with the weird underground sleeper people. And at some point, they managed to capture him, and I think the end of the book is him basically sitting in a room waiting for his execution, because like these people have decided to hold court for him, hold a trial, and he's convicted of execution because he's like murdered so many other people. And I think he has a realization when he's like sitting on the bed, and he realizes that like he's the alien now. That he's like sitting there and he's like, fuck, like I'm the one that's like completely outside all these people, and I've been killing them and blah blah blah, and they've got their own civilization and everything. And at some point it's like, okay, well, why should he even try to change all of them, right? So I feel like it's kind of a similar-ish feeling to that. Like, I think that militant resistance or strong resistance to fascism, I think is probably tolerated around the edges. But like, if half your population wants it, why? Like, do you want to fight against that militarily? I feel like I'd rather just leave. I don't know. Just seems Like if you're at that point where so many people. If you're an Asman fan, I get why you would like to see him discuss this in a debate. I just think that it would be a repeat of the 2016 debate. And somebody asked me to talk to Asman. I would talk to Asman, no problem. But I can't talk to him while he's streaming on Twitch because Clancy has granted Hassan a monopoly on that platform for politics.
Colleges that swindled Americans. He was a for-profit college.
At Trump University, we teach success.
Literally. He's owned by the big banks. She's the attorney general who beat the biggest banks in America and forced them to pay homeowners $18 billion. He's tearing us apart. She'll bring us together. This is Trump. And in every possible way, this is the anti-Trump. So if that's what you're looking for in your next president, there's really only one. Kamala.
Nice. Do you regularly ask conservatives like Poole, Loomer, Kirk, etc. for debates? Yeah, I did for Poole and I did for a couple other people, but especially after my last arc, now that I've made it clear that I'm going to be like very aggressive in conversations, all of them have gone silent. Like none of them want to talk anymore, which reinforces my earlier opinion that the only reason they wanted me to come on at the beginning of the year was because I would play like the role of the reasonable liberal and I'd push back a little bit, but I'd still try to be like appealable to their audiences and not be like too unhinged. But I think it's all for show. It's like the Russia propaganda model, like how RT will host people and invite people on to speak who don't agree with them because it gives the air of debate. It gives the air of the illusion of, oh, look, like we're bringing on like people from all sides or whatever to legitimize our show so we can say it in the future. Yeah. You should watch Kamala speak and judge her ability to debate Trump. I think now we're back in the environment where debates don't matter as much. It doesn't like you can't like in terms of winning a debate against Trump. The only way it would happen is if Kamala were to literally just like lay into him, like make fun of him. Hillary beat Trump in every debate. It's not even close. Trump's just not a very smart person when it comes to anything having to do with government or politics. But he doesn't need to be because he just speaks in slogans. So the idea that like Kamala would go up and destroy him because she's got more policy knowledge or anything else, it doesn't really matter. Remember, conservatives that support Trump aren't supporting him on policy or intelligence. They're supporting him on literally on meme energy. That's it. Testing a counter-argument. The purpose of liberal values is protecting everyone's rights equally, so even when fascists win democratically, it's still your moral obligation to fight to protect those rights. Maybe. I don't know. The internet makes things so weird and difficult. I don't know. There's so much, like, international influence now that's invested in our country, and there's so much power in, like, the social media platforms to dictate discourse. And when you've got somebody that, like, openly supports... I guess like basically Russian talking points or like fascist ideology like Elon Musk that owns and runs Twitter and dictates content on there, right? When he endorses, you know, like Libs of TikTok who is outwardly doxing, you know, political opponents of the Republican establishment. I mean, like, what do you, geez, that's like it's a whole other monster to tangle with. Maybe not while nothing of your worries have actually happened yet. No, a lot of my worries have actually happened. Donald Trump led an insurrection against the government. I think that's historically been a really horrible thing. The President of the United States has been granted a historically unprecedented criminal immunity. He's beyond judicial review now for criminal actions taken while president. That's something that's never happened before, and it's probably going to allow Trump to escape culpability, possibly in all 4 of his cases. Donald Trump managed to pardon basically every single crony friend that he had while he was in office, except for the Jan 6 protesters, by the way. Yeah. I think a lot of bad stuff has already happened. Would you support policies that make anonymity online impossible if it curbed foreign influence? Possibly. I would say something I said before. I think if you are a political influencer, Like if you do news or any type of news, entertainment news content online, I think you should have to post, or there should be like an executive committee or agency that monitors like all of your income. Like you have to post public either income receipts for your business or something like that. I think that should be a requirement. 100%. Yeah, I absolutely think it should be. Okay. Don't care. Can we access your notes? It's just destiny.gg/notes. I wish you and Asman could collab more. Well, get me unbanned from Twitch. If only I was as moral as Donald Trump and Sneeko. Most likely VP pick. Is Whitmer being discussed? Are there any articles about who they're discussing right now? Like seriously, or? Would you really vote for Kamala over Trump, or are you going to lie to your whole audience? What? Do you think? Why do you think Trump? Or I'm sorry. Why do you think Hassan is the one pulling the strings on your Twitch ban? Isn't it infinitely more likely that it's just Twitch moderation that doesn't like you? No, I think it's Twitch moderation plays into it the most for sure. But I definitely think, I guarantee you that Hassan has had conversations with Clancy because those two are friendly. I mean, Clancy said as much and they've done content together, right? Hassan is even doing a show right now with Twitch, right? That they're filming. The guy that, made terrorist jokes on Twitter and interviewed a Houthi self-proclaimed terrorist and memed with him and supported his terrorist activities, that guy. It wouldn't be, I'm sure they've spoken about it. But I doubt that he's like the one that can dictate whether that happens or not.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, what's up?
So yeah, just tune into your stream. I don't want you to have to like recap what you've already been talking about, but I wanted to run some ideas by you and see if you think my head's at all in the right place or if I'm doomering on this. Okay.
Okay.
I don't think that Kamala Harris beats Trump. I know it's kind of early to call that for sure. And a lot of the evidence that I would provide for that would be, you know, past evidence of her electoral performance and then kind of like just the general malaise around her candidacy. I don't see a giant bump coming. And I don't see this as huge of an announcement as it is. Like interrupting the momentum that Trump has gained from, you know, the attempted assassination and all of that.
I think it's a pretty huge announcement. I think we're done talking about Trump's assassination, and I think this is going to be playing on news networks for the next week, and then her speak of the VP pick is going to be news for the next week. I think this is absolutely going to dominate the media cycle. This is pretty historic, I think.
Yeah. I mean, but so is Trump getting shot, right?
Nah, I think we're over it now. I think it's done.
I hope you're right, man. Like, I don't see that. I think you're right in the short term. I think there's going to be a momentum shift in the news cycle covering Kamala, covering her chances and all of that. But I don't think that the media, and I definitely don't think that the Trump campaign is anywhere near done using imagery and
Yeah, I'm
using
sure they'll try to
talking
use
points.
imagery and talking points, and they'll want to. But now this is the next part of the media cycle. Nothing lasts forever. It just doesn't. The Afghanistan thing didn't last forever. The border stuff, like every single time a new thing pops up in the media, everybody thinks it's going to last for months, and it never does. It never has, and it never will, and it won't. It just we move on to the next thing. But I mean, we'll see what happens, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there's any validity in me being like, worried? I'm not super worried because like I'm not a DNC guy anyway, but like worrying for those chances. Do you think there's any validity to those worries, or do you think it's too early and I need to wait and see what bounce we get or what?
Worries about what?
Like worries about Kamala being a pretty much non-starter against Trump.
Oh, I mean, she's younger. She's got she's got a lot of experience in the past, not being president. She was VP. She's got the support of the DNC and all of his fundraising. She can still ride off of like all the Trump hatred. I mean, who knows? I mean, if Biden was going to drop out, like I've said as much, I mean, everybody knows this. If Biden was going to drop out, it almost certainly has to pass to Kamala Harris. And then we just have to see who our VP pick is. And then
is that just like a funding thing and a party structure thing? Do you think like it?
And
has
also,
to go
I mean,
her?
it's a bit of like it's also probably a bit of faith in your party as well, right? Like we had Biden. Biden's going to step aside, and now the vice president comes up. The idea that Biden would step aside, and now we're going to say also fuck the vice president. Okay, Kamala is clearly not. Boom, we're going to go do an open convention. You're snubbing her very, very, very hard there.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a logistics element to it. There's probably also, it probably weighs on them a bit of like, I don't want to say moral, maybe like branding or something. There's some other word I'm looking there for, but yeah.
Can I ask you to throw out some names if you're comfortable doing so of possible VP picks for Kamala?
I have no fucking idea. My guess is going to be like, it seems like it would have to be somebody from like an important swing state, from like Pennsylvania, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan. Yeah, like my guess is it would have to be somebody from one of these states. People in chat are saying Josh Shapiro. I know that Gretchen Whitmer.
I don't think Gretchen Whitmer. I think she's a little too critical of the DNC structure. I don't think it'll be her. I don't think like. What do you think about like Elizabeth Warren? Nah.
Where is she from?
Elizabeth, you remember Elizabeth Warren from the last cycle?
I don't remember her, but I don't know.
I don't remember where she's from. Yeah, I can't remember.
She's from Massachusetts.
So you're saying you think the pick is going to be more political in terms of maybe like a not as well known politician, not a Democratic Party operative that's well known, but somebody that's from a critical swing state.
I would imagine that, but I mean, I could be totally wrong. Yeah, but I would imagine that. I mean, who would have seen Sarah Palin being picked by McCain? I mean, who knows? Yeah.
I had one other thing I wanted to run by you because I've been catching a lot of shit for the take.
Okay.
People freaked out about Sean O'Brien, the president of the Teamsters, speaking at the RNC. And as a labor advocate and stuff, I know you can't just unionize like left-wing workspaces. No such thing exists. Like right-wingers have to hear your message. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I know that Sean O'Brien asked to speak at both the RNC and the DNC, and I believe the RNC is the only one that took him up on it. And so I don't see why people were freaking out about a union president talking to 50% of America who might otherwise not hear his message of blue-collar solidarity and shit.
I have no idea. I would have to see his speech. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. You didn't talk about it? I just thought I might have missed you talking about it because the whole like
nope, I have
parts
no
of the
idea.
left.
I don't know anything about it.
I don't mean to invoke he who shall not be named, but Vosh made a whole video about how this dude's like a traitor because he spoke at the RNC, which I found to be pretty retarded. But anyway, I thought you might have had a take on that. One more quick question before I go.
Okay.
I saw a clip on your subreddit last night of you kind of freaking out about people that you've worked with being adjacent to like Russia or Ukraine or Moldova, right?
Sure.
Is there anything like, can you bring me up to speed on that, or like just kind of, or did you do like a highlight video of that yet? Because I didn't see one.
I don't have any hard. This is like all conspiracy in my brain right now. I don't have like any hard evidence on any of it. I just don't like that every single like quote unquote centrist and almost all alternative media like conservatives all are in lockstep with Russian talking points. That's what it feels like. like every single pro-Russia talking point they're in lockstep with, and every single talking point that they use to talk about politics is to just sow like dissent and chaos and destruction in the United States, and all of them are a part of it. And that just drives me crazy, I guess. Yeah.
People are making fun of me for saying Moldova. Am I fucking? Is that wrong? I thought that one chick you talked to from Twitter.
Yeah, the Cat Kanata person. I don't know how
was
that
from Moldova or something. Anyway, it doesn't. I was just wondering, like, so it's just a conspiracy brain thing right now for you. You just have the feeling maybe that there might be some people trying to like maybe infiltrate your platform or whatever.
No, not me in particular. Just like in general.
In general, got
like
it.
Online
Even Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman seems like a kind of guy that doesn't. I mean, like from what I've seen of him, right? He just kind of like facilitates conversation. Or am I wrong about that?
Yeah, but Lex also does this thing where it seems like he's infinitely charitable to like these far right, horribly destructive voices, and then far more critical of like even moderate left voices, and I just don't understand why.
I see. Yeah, I haven't watched enough of his stuff to say, but I'll take your word for it. Yeah, it's just interesting. I thought I'd ask you about that. I don't want to take up any more of your time though, buddy. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay. Have fun. Be careful.
Bye.
Because moderate left people refuse to talk to him and constantly shame him for talking to everybody. If they just accepted an open platform, they wouldn't get shit from him. I don't understand why. Why do you guys make so much excuse, or why do you guys make so many excuses for people to have childish responses to things? We get paid so much money to do this. Like, why is it like, oh, well, of course I understand why he's doing that, because somebody was mean to him. Like, why?
What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, everything's happening. I think the next big meme now is who's the VP pick is going to be.
Do you have like, is there like a Destiny's favorite?
I mean, my guess is, isn't strategy generally to try to shore up a swing state? Isn't that the goal? Like a Michigan?
That's what I would think. Yeah, or like a really weak cohort. So you could have Whitmer out of Michigan. You could have Tony Evers out of Wisconsin. You could have Governor Shapiro out of Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. Does drawing a governor from here put at risk having another Democratic governor in one of these states for Shapiro or Whitmer?
It's a good question. So like, I don't know how it works in those states. So like Kentucky, which is the state I lived in before, North Carolina, the lieutenant governor and the governor are elected on a joint ticket. So for Kentucky, you have Andy Beshear, who is also, his name has been thrown around too. Mm-hmm. He's a Democrat, and his lieutenant governor, whose name escapes me, she was elected with him, kind of like the president and vice president. But in North Carolina, where I live now, you have a Democratic governor, Roy Cooper, and an insane Republican lieutenant governor who's elected separately. So to your point, or I guess one of the questions raised is like, if you pull one of these Democratic governors, you know, presumably the lieutenant governor would be the one who automatically takes their place, right? And I don't know anything about the lieutenant governors in those states, if they're like Republican or not. If they're Democrat, we're it's golden, right? We're good. But yeah, it would be interesting that if they pull a Democratic governor, and then that crucial swing state falls into the hands of a Republican lieutenant governor, that'd probably be a bad idea.
And then help me here. Why do we care about what's the big concern federally for Republican governors? Is that they would have like a large influence over the state legislatures when it comes to things like gerrymandering or how they do votes for elections, or the governors don't have any influence on the federal level aside from like how voting is done, right?
Correct. Yeah. So governors have like no federal duties or anything like that. But if you have, so like Pennsylvania, for example, I think they have a bicameral state legislature, and I think they're both now in the hands of Democrats. But a Republican governor would be able to veto, legislation, stuff like that. And so you could imagine a situation where a Democratic state legislature would want to make it easier for people to vote, and a Republican governor would have it in their vested interest for that not to be the case.
Gotcha.
Press voter turnout. Yeah, I don't know. See, the problem is I don't know enough about like the constituent, like the how the polling is for these governors, like where they're strongest.
Sure.
Because the other thing you want to do is not just pull from potentially from swing states, but you want to pull in candidates who can compensate for where you're weak in terms of the electorate. And I just don't know enough about any of them, like where they're really, really weak. Like President Biden was struggling with younger voters compared to 2020. But that might be addressed by Harris because she's seen as younger and she might not be perceived to have the baggage associated with Gaza. So I don't know, man. It's like the Wild West, isn't it? The Supreme Court decision, an assassination attempt, that debate, and now this. We are living in historic times.
Yeah, they seem to have been since 2007 onwards. every day is a new historical event. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. So here's where I'm curious what you think. We say, especially since 2016, that every election is the most consequential.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think history will look back and say it was 2024, 2020, or 2016? Because I still think you can make a really good argument that 2016 was kind of like the hinge point of modern American politics because it allowed Trump to take the White House. What do you think? Do you think that of the 3 election cycles that you've really been covering politics, which one does your gut say in hindsight will be seen as the most consequential?
Ask me in 2030, and I'll give you a good answer. The problem is that, like, if a Democrat wins this election, and if Trump ages out, then I think we probably look back and we say, like, 2024, or maybe even 2020 was the most important. But, like, say Trump wins this election, and we start going further down the path of, like, destroying the country, then 2016 probably becomes the most important one, because that's when it all, like, that was the hinge point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that you're following all these, like, Supreme Court cases, and obviously it's like, would you say you have, I don't want to use the word appreciation, but is your conception of how powerful and important the Supreme Court is, right or wrong? Do you think it's changed since you've dove into these cases?
I mean, everything has changed as I've gotten more civics pilled. I just didn't really understand anything about how any part of the government works. I don't know if you do this for your videos already, or maybe it's just appropriate for my audience, or maybe just for me. Maybe I'm uniquely don't understand, but, like, every single time I read a thing, like, I always try to look up, like, where does this fit into everything? Like what are the offices in the government, and, like, who does what or whatever. Like, I always go back and I'll always Google and I'll always look it up, and I repeat it over and over again. And I don't know if my audience is supportive of it or not, but it helps to reinforce these concepts in my mind. Having a better conception of, like, the structure of the government and how things are supposed to function has allowed me to understand some things so much better than I could before. And I think it's worth repeating some of those things. Like, that phone call to Raffensperger was so...
Oh, the 11,870
That's not even, like, the worst part about it. Just the idea that a private citizen is calling not a governor, it was the state secretary with his personal lawyers on the phone, demanding them to hand over voter information that they wouldn't even give to the federal government because it's the state's information, and then making threats saying that, well, you know, these schmucks won their last elections when I supported them. They're definitely not winning next time, right? It's right. On so many levels, it was already bad because, like you said, they're like, we'll find these votes. We just need this many votes to win. But, like, having a better conception of, like, the structures of all the governments and, like, how these things are supposed to deal with each other makes it so much worse and so much more disgusting and so much more inappropriate. Having that understanding, Jesus. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting on that phone call. I want to say there's, like, a full recording of it that was released like a year ago or something like that. It's like an hour and a half long or something like that. But anyway,
the Raffensperger call.
Yeah.
Yes, we listened to the entire phone call last night. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
The entire thing. Yep. Trump repeated like 20 different debunked bullshit allegations. He leaned really heavily into that Ruby Freeman thing. Did you see how that court case resolved, by the way?
The Ruby Freeman Shea Moss case?
Yes. You need to remember this. You need to say this to every single fucking person that talks to you about this, okay? When Republicans get accused of wrongdoing, it's always the same playbook. Donald Trump said, I need criminal immunity. Alex Jones said, I had a psychosis. I didn't mean any of it. Fox News said, oh, we don't want to say anything. We're just going to settle. We understand. We fucked up completely. Oh, fuck. What was the last thing? Oh, and for Ruby Freeman, Giuliani said, excuse me, I did lie, but it's my First Amendment right to lie. Right? People need to know this, okay? It's not the same on both sides. Both sides did not do these, right? The Republican playbook is insane. It's unhinged. That was Rudy Giuliani's defense. He said, I lied, but that's my First Amendment right to lie. And then he lost that case for $148 million. Like, it's insane. Yeah.
And then he tried to declare bankruptcy, and the judge threw it out too. There's this
because they lied about his assets. He tried to do Chapter 11, right? So he could restructure. Then he tried to convert it to a Chapter 7 so that he could wipe away all his debt and just hold on to a couple assets. But then he lied about money that he was making in other businesses. Fuck Giuliani. Fuck these crooks. Literally crooks.
That's America's mayor, baby. That was the heir apparent of the Republican Party back in 2001. He was the future. No, I mean, you're right. Listen, I totally agree. The asymmetry, that's something I complain about a lot on my channel, and it's something that represents a long-term problem and risk to this country that we have to break. Like, I understand that people are spending a lot of time, I don't want to say woke scolding you, but like calling you out for some of like the incendiary shit that you said. But to me, I think the sentiment behind it, like, hey, if we're going to have a good faith conversation, it has to be reciprocated, and we have to hold both sides to the same standard, because that's the only way you can ever accurately evaluate anything, is by holding it to the same standard that you do the other things. That is a major issue, and we're not going to be able to progress as a country, in my opinion, until we make serious strides towards it. But getting back to the phone call thing that you mentioned, you said that it was a private citizen calling with his attorneys. And what's so interesting about that, though, is obviously Trump wasn't doing that in his capacity as president, because the president plays no role, none, in the peaceful transfer of power and
correct.
And those things.
Let me say further, okay, that because people might argue this, it's inarguable, okay? When Donald Trump called Raffensperger, he had with him his personal legal counsel. Yeah, Mark Meadows was there as well, his chief of staff, but it was his personal legal counsel. It wasn't a phone call with his AG. It wasn't a phone call with his deputy AG, and it wasn't his phone call with any of the investigators in the FBI. It was his personal legal counsel. That was a personal phone call that he was making to try to get them to give voter information to his campaign, his personal stuff. That was not a phone call that was made in the capacity of the president of the United States in any size, shape, or form. But yeah.
Do you remember? I'm trying to think who was Attorney General. Did Barr retire at that time? Because I can't remember the timeline of the phone call. It was either late 2020 or early 2021. Bill Barr may have already stepped down at that point. But yeah, I mean, like most of his.
I can check real quick. The phone call was on January 2nd, the Raffensperger phone call. So.
And Bill Barr served. Okay, so Bill
must have been
Barr
gone,
left.
yeah.
Yeah, Bill Barr was gone by December 23rd. So I can't remember who took his place, but most of the people, like Bill Barr is a good example of this, because he obviously opposed everything that Trump said. So that's probably another reason, even if he wanted to enlist, Justice Department officials, I can't imagine many would co-sign the shit that Trump was alleging. But what's interesting is, though, again, you make a point, he's operating in his capacity as a private citizen. But can you imagine the fucking pressure that Raffensperger and Kemp felt? Because yes, he's doing it as a private citizen, but he's also simultaneously the president of the United States. And to get that phone call from your party leader and the most powerful man on earth, who is operating so nakedly, self-servingly.
Yeah, you don't have to imagine. There are 3 separate quotes on that call where he talks about how these guys ran. I think Kemp was one of these. Yeah, Kemp ran. He was a loser. He was a schmuck, I think he called him. He had no chance until I showed up and I helped him. And the people of Georgia are going to be very mad. So there were 3 different times on that phone call where he alluded to, you're going to lose your next elections, guys, because I'm not going to be helping you. And there was a time on that phone call where Donald Trump, who is the head of the executive branch, who's arguably who appoints the head of the Justice Department, the Department of Justice, who does investigations, is saying things to him about how, hey, by the way, this is criminal, and you know what's happening here.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, years later, you get a Supreme Court ruling which says that any potential correspondence that a future President Trump would have with a future Attorney General who is not like Bill Barr, for any sort of sham investigation that would result from that to like punish a disloyal Republican governor, You can't probe that. That's absolutely immune, and you couldn't probe that. I mean, to me, the decision today, which I don't know how you feel about it. I am curious how you feel about Biden's decision to step down. I've been agnostic about it. Like, I didn't celebrate with this decision, nor was I dreading it, because to me, the stakes are the same and the outcome is the same in the sense that I don't care who the fuck, like, they could run a dog. You know what I mean? Like, they could just, like, it could be Air Bud, the president version, and I would still vote for that person, try to make a compelling case for it, because Trump has to be defeated. And I imagine that's where you are too. I imagine there's probably not a Democrat in office, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, that you would not squarely sit behind to beat Trump. Is that how you feel?
That I would, yeah. Well, I'd say, yeah. I mean, unless before, but somebody's going to post now, well, what about this Democrat who actually is pro-launching all the nukes, and he's like the fucking state assembly rat. Yeah. But in general, yeah, I think I probably agree, yeah.
Do you, how do you feel about the decision of him dropping, like, personally? Because they joke that you're Biden's strongest soldier, but you've been an outspoken supporter. You've defended his presidency, as have I. And how do you feel about his decision to drop out? Do you care?
I mean, I think I've said it over the past week. I'm just like, my biggest issue is for people that talk about the dropout. They pretend that the path forward is so easy after he drops out, and I don't. I think it's super variable. I think it could be really good. It could be really bad. My opinion is the exact same as it was yesterday. I think that he had to drop out, though, because it's pretty obvious that, like, a lot of the party wants him to drop out, right? There's so much stuff getting leaked to the media. That's not happening on accident. They're trying to apply a lot of pressure. Yeah.
Do you, well, I agree. I think that this was, I went live very briefly just a few minutes ago, and then, like, Econoboy joined, and like I said, I'm agnostic about it. I saw risks no matter what, and there was data to back up either decision. And even this decision is risky. I mean, he has officially endorsed the vice president, but he also weeks ago said his delegates could vote for whomever they want. I imagine most, if not all of them, will go over. I don't know if you saw this, though. Republicans are threatening, and have been threatening for weeks when it looked like this might happen, to put up legal challenges to try to block any. I don't know what their basis would be or whatever, but Mike Johnson.
You know what would be the ultimate? You know what? Here's what I will say. Ready?
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm trying to think if I want to commit to this. Make a strong statement about leaving the country.
Don't do it. No, don't do it.
If they were to throw up some legal challenge in some state saying that Biden can't be removed to the ballot, or that the Democrat can't be added to the ballot, and the Supreme Court were to hold that, I think I would bounce. If that happened, I think I would bounce. Or, I can't say it because I'm on YouTube. Never mind. I would bounce. I would just leave. I think that would be unbelievable.
Isn't it sad?
That would be unfathomable. And I could see Roberts doing it. I could see him writing that opinion. Or Thomas writing the majority opinion. Okay, is going to explain why it's actually really important that Biden not be removed from the ballot and Kamala Harris can be added to the ballot. I'd be. All
right, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate, because I'm not seeing your chat, and I don't believe this. I agree with you that this is perfectly possible. But what do you say to people who inevitably on Twitter and on Reddit and maybe even in DGG say, Stephen, you're just catastrophizing. There's no way, given the stakes, that even Roberts would make a decision like, the Democratic candidate, the Democratic nominee can't be added to the ballot because it's like past the deadline or whatever. There's no way they would take it that far, you would say.
You know the story about the lobster boiling in the pot, right? I don't even know if that's how they actually die. But the issue is, when things happen that are crazy, you only really know that retrospectively. Like, it's hard to see crazy things happening as they happen. I think that we're already way past crazy shit happening. But because it's also gradually done, and because we're inundated with so much news, you don't really perceive it. I think crazy things have already happened that are unacceptable.
Agreed.
So, I mean, like, why would it not continue? Like, what you're basically saying is like, aren't you, like, catastrophizing by thinking that the country's going to head in the exact same direction that it's been heading? That the guy who's running for president, who's the most self-serving person who's ever been president, would continue to be self-serving, to head in that, like. Did you read? I've read so much. I hate the Vivans. I just want to play video games and be a shit poster.
No, dude.
Did you read the full? Did you read the full back and forth? Everything that happened with Clark, Trump, Rosen, and Donahue.
Was Which one was one of them? Mike Pence's attorney or chief of staff?
No. Okay. This whole scenario, any one of these all of this is insane. But any one of these things on their own is insane. It should be, I say impeachable, but I think like criminally prosecutable. Okay. Keep in mind, and I also want you to keep this in mind. Don't ever fucking forget this. Okay. Keep this in mind. Okay. Have your permanent recorder turned on right now. Everything I'm about to tell you, you will never know about again, ever, because now this is all beyond criminal review. So you would never get a probe, you'd never get an inquiry, you'd never get subpoenas. All of this is beyond criminal review, okay? So everything I'm about to say, you'll never hear about this again if a president tries this, all right? Remember that, because that's what the conservatives want, that's what the court wants, and that's what the 6 conservative justices on the court signed off on, okay? Or at least 5 of them. Donald Trump, okay, was mad that Barr wouldn't co-sign his bullshit opinion about the election being stolen, right? Mm-hmm. Donald Trump is going to every person in his government trying to say, hey, can you please, like, guys, the election was stolen, right? And everybody's like, dude, we've looked into all of this. It's bullshit. I'm sorry, right? The CISA head guy ended up, I think, stepping down. I think Trump forced him to resign. Eventually, Barr resigned.
Chris
like,
Krebs?
Yeah, Krebs, yeah, because Barr resigned. He's like, fuck this is retarded, right? So Donald Trump has an acting, right, because none of these people are confirmed by the Senate. He has his acting attorney general, Rosen. He has his deputy acting attorney general, Donahue. And then there is a guy who is, there's a guy who works as an attorney in the, what is it? It's like the environmental protections part of the DOJ, right?
Okay.
Donald Trump goes to Donahue and Rosen, and Donald Trump is like, hey, I got an idea. Can you just like send letters to these 7 states and tell them that we found really good evidence of voter fraud and we're still investigating it. So you guys kind of need to like toss your election for now. And like, maybe we'll come back to it. We'll revisit in a few weeks. And obviously, Donahue and Rosen are like, no, this is fucking retarded. We're not going to do this. And Donahue and Rosen are, they're chilling, they're on their bed, kicking their feet up, drawing pictures and hanging out and doing whatever attorney generals and deputy attorney generals do. And this guy, Clark, starts like wandering into their office, like chatting with them, like, hey guys, what's up? Do you guys think that we should do, maybe we should do something about this Trump stuff, or, maybe we should actually tell the states that there's some fucked up shit. And they're like, wait, well, how the fuck do you even know this? Why the fuck are you even, and then Trump starts mentioning Clark's name. And now they're asking him, like, why is Trump mentioning your name? Why the fuck does Trump even know who the fuck you are? Like, what the fuck? And he's like, well, me and Trump, we go way back by like 3 days. So we've been having conversations. And at some point, Clark, because Trump is asking his deputy and his attorney general over and over again, he's like, can you please write these bullshit letters? One day, Clark comes up to Donahue and Rosen, and Clark says, hey, can you guys promote me, add somebody in under me so my rank is more impressive, and then can you sign this letter? And Rosen and Donahue look at it, and the letter is what Trump wants them to say, right? It's the lie of like, oh yeah, we found big voter fraud. Can you guys toss your election out? And both of them are like, we are never signing anything like this. And then Clark is like, okay, that's fine, but maybe I'll be the attorney general next. And then
so that part I recall, where he basically says this is their subordinate, basically saying, if you don't do this, I'm going to be your replacement.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all of this culminates in one of the funniest, you've got the J6 committee report of it, which is insanely epic and hilarious. No, it's an epic confrontation. But then you've got Hirschman's deposition, where he's recounting this. And all of this culminates in this crazy event where basically Donald Trump is going to fire the attorney general, and he's going to install Clark as the attorney general, who has no background in he never done a criminal case in his life, okay? So that Clark will send out this letter to all of the states, the swing states, get them to flip their votes. And so so Donahue, it's like 7 different people, but Donahue, Rosen, and a bunch of other people all go to the Oval Office. They start contacting everybody in the DOJ, okay? And then they go to Trump, and they all have this conversation, like, just so you know, like, half of your State Department or half of your DOJ is about to resign, okay? If you're seriously going to replace us. Clark is giving the most impassioned speech in his world, arguing why he should be the attorney general. Hirschman is here, like, shouting him down as a fucking retard. Hirschman's like, what are you planning on doing when you become attorney general? And Clark's like, well, I'm going to write this letter and do that. And then Hirschman is like, he's like, oh, so you've never heard of like, what is it, like Rule 63? You understand you're going to commit a felony day one, right? Like, maybe you should go back to the DOJ, and when we have like a question about oil spills, we'll call you. Like, Hirschman is saying all of this in his deposition. And it's just insane fucking play of like crazy shit. This one thing in and of itself is just insanely unhinged and crazy, right? This is just one of like 15 different unbelievable things. Did you know that there's a leaked phone call of Donald Trump calling the election fraud investigator in Georgia? He's calling her in a 6-minute call. He's like, hey, just calling to say that I know you're a great person and you're doing great work, and I know you're going to find the voter fraud that we're looking for. Good luck, right? Why is he making that? Why does he even have her number?
There's one, I want to make sure I get the state right, but I think it's Michigan. And this broke like within the past 6 months, but you had Trump, and then you had the Ronna McDaniel, Mitt Romney's niece, and she was the head of the Republican National Convention at the time and until recently. They were also calling election certifiers as well, or like people are on the boards of these election commissions, asking them to basically walk back their votes to certify Biden's victory in that particular state. And I'm pretty sure it was Michigan. So he did it apparently in multiple states. I forgot about the Georgia one. Yeah, I mean, the shit's crazy. It really is. And any of these individual things, you know, like Steve Bannon, one of Trump's advisors, said that, you know, you got to flood the zone with shit. And they've done it so well because, to your point, any of these things, if they were given just adequate media attention, would potentially kill a political career of any politician, and should. Right? And you know, even in today's media environment, you could just scratch out the names and the circumstances and just put Biden in. And even in 2024, even though the media's gotten used to Donald Trump, this same story with the same set of facts would destroy any Democrat.
These are the things. Yeah. Oh my God, bro. I read the 160-page, most of these are slides. Have you actually gone over all of the Dominion presentation? Of the
Not
funds?
The whole thing. There was the court filings, which prior to the
bro, the Dominion shit. Hold on, I'm gonna send you this. You can read through some of this in your free time. It is because I asked the chat. I was like, "Is there like a log of?" I just want to see some of these leaked.
You're talking about the leaked texts and stuff like that. Yeah, they were released in court filings. I think piecemeal. I don't even think it was in just one filing until later on.
Yes, but there's a whole thing. Fuck. Sorry, keep going. I'm gonna find this.
No, yeah, I mean, they were absolutely damning. And that's another thing, too.
No, wait. Hold on. I'm so sorry. Just because you're underselling everything. Pisco's been underselling everything. I've been underselling everything, okay? We've all been underselling everything, okay? They're not damning, okay? These are beyond dead to rights, okay? If you ever get bored, all right, you should go through, I don't know who the attorneys that they hired for this. Bro, this is, have you ever heard of, like, for instance, like, have you heard of the Brain Room?
Brain Room? No.
Fox News, they have an entire fact-checking department that works really hard. Every single exec at Fox News and every single host at Fox News knew that they were spreading bullshit. They knew that they were spreading lies. They were admitting all of it in the background, but they were also admitting that we're losing our viewers to Newsmax. We have to have them on. We've got to bring these people on. Meanwhile, like all of them are saying shit like, what was it? There was one in here where it was like Sidney Powell. I think yesterday she was on like ketamine, mushrooms, and LSD. There's no way. Like this bitch is fucking crazy. Like it is insane. How much is they knew.
And not